Such an honor to have you on yet another exciting and informative edition of Business Glide. Of course, the #1 show when it comes to matters public policy and business in Kenya, hosted by yours truly, Richard Mwenja. And with me, as usual, is none other than Herman Manyora, Kenya's most sought after political scholar and public scholar in Eastern and Central Africa. Today, we finalize our coverage on matters crucial dockets in Ruto's administration that, of course, when handled properly, will definitely have such an amazing impact on the welfare of many Kenyans. And today, sir, we start from the docket that is public transport and infrastructure, which should be charged to Murkomen, should he get the green line from Parliament. We continue to see matters with overpricing of infrastructural projects therein, more particularly the roads. From where you sit, you actually serve in the public service as a lecturer at the university. How is it that many public officers, especially in this docket that is transport and infrastructure, don't feel the pinch when they overprice such projects? Don't they feel the pinch from the taxpayer standpoint?
You know, we live in a country where money is elevated to levels you can't understand. We glorify money. We worship money. So everybody wants to make money. We define ourselves, our value by how much money we have, where we take our children to school, where we stay, how much money we have in the bank, and how much of it is stashed somewhere abroad. So you put somebody there, they will certainly do deals to make billions.
All right.
These days, if you are not in the billionaire class, you are not with the boys.
You're not a big boy.
Yeah, boys are talking billions. So if you put somebody there, he also wants to be a man.
And a member of a golf club?
Yes, and talking. But I find it so foolish. I've never understood. How does a person find value in just getting millions, hundreds and millions of billions? And what? You are an animal. You are not a human being. Because people who have billions are people who have earned the money. The satisfaction is from generating money.
Over time.
Making money, yani making money work for you and create more money and investment. And when you are seated somewhere in some hotel and you know your deal has gone through, okay, you are working with a company from Qatar, with another one, you are working in the Congo forest, doing something. The satisfaction of making billions, of having billions, is how you have earned success of your company and your partnerships. But this one just stealing. Where is the satisfaction? I don't know. There's something wrong with Kenyans. And it's not a global problem. This is a Kenyan problem.
Not a global?
No, it's not global. Many people find no value in billions. When Mother Karua says in doing the interview that money to her is not what people think, there was an interview, she meant it. Money doesn't excite her. I'm in the same class. I mean, so if you give me 2 billion, what will I do with the money?
I see.
So they will steal. They will overprice the projects. They will pay people who have hardly performed. The jobs will be half done, poorly done, shoddily done, but the approvals will be given, and the guys are paid. So you pay somebody 3 billion, he gives you 500 million. You add on the other 300 million you had. Then tomorrow you have 800 million. Then next day you have 2 billion, then 3 billion. But the idiots never learn. These people who die, see, they leave all these billions around. How much they go with them?
They live around.
And do people even remember them? If you ask people who BOTs, people have forgotten. You'll be surprised.
Come on.
Oh, come on. Ask how many billionaires have died in Kenya the past 10 years. I've done this experiment at the university. And these educated people ask like 10 students in a row. Have you heard of Nicholas Biwott? Have you? Yes. You? Yes. No. 7 out of 10, they don't know who Biwott is. Njenga Karume.
From charcoal to gold.
No, I'm not that. Kirima. These are guys who have left billions. Something else, you live, children fight over the money, wives fight over the money. A man who is 50 years old says, I'm Karume's son. Where were you? You are a 60-year-old man saying, I'm Kibaki's son. So, if Kibaki left billions, did he ever use the money? Well, what did he ever do with the money?
Philanthropy.
Which philanthropy? Which African does philanthropy? So these children of his,
They all have foundations.
what are these? What are the children doing? Then they will leave the money again. It is absolute foolish to get money from poor Kenyans. Money meant for hospitals, KEMSA, saving the sick. Money meant for medicine, roads for Kenyans, for children, for schools. You steal and you are smiling because 800 million has gone to your account. You must be a cow.
Talking about these big infrastructure and transport projects,
Yes.
we've seen like the area of Kedong, people coming on board and saying the government isn't fair when it comes to matters compensation. Money is dished out, it doesn't trickle down to those people who've been resettled.
Yes.
I mean, does it have to get that bad?
Something. A guy, if you are settling people, compensating people, most of the money will end up going to those who already have more money than they need. That's why I'm bringing the issue of just how much money does a Kenyan need? How much money do Kenyans need? Somebody asked me, some Indian man from University of Indiana, he told me, with the stories we read about Kenya, just how much money does a Kenyan need or want? Unless we get out of this.
They said enough is enough.
So these roads you are talking about, they will continue to be shoddy, overpriced, overcosted.
Even with the bold voice that is Kipchumba Murkomen?
Which bold? He will just join them.
Come on.
And again, you must be fair to Kipchumba Murkomen. It is not him. When you are made, so you want to tell him Macharia was doing those things for himself. You're doing it for the boys, the big boys. There is no way you can do a corruption of 1 billion shillings if you are a minister. The top must know. So if Kipchumba Murkomen is going to do a deal of 2 billion, Ruto must know. It is as simple as that. That's why I was talking about state capture. All the president will need to do is say, hii ujinga imefika mwisho.
Time for a change intact.
And I'm going to do a video to address to the president. I'll tell him, this is what ought to be done. This is how we should go about it. If you mean serious business, if you want to end corruption in the infrastructure sector, this is how we shall approach it. This is how we shall identify which roads to build, what standards of road, how to source the funding, how to ensure the quality, how to ensure Kenyans participate in the construction of those roads for purposes of labor, really, in terms of really income from labor, technology transfer, which should be part and parcel of any contract. It's a simple matter. But it can't be about Murkomen. It can only be about the president.
All right.
Things in this country start and end with the presidency.
That's it. Even before we get to
If
this...
the president says, hii ujinga sitaki kusikia, it ends that day. That day, nobody will do it. A minister can't do it.
Just an executive order and that's it.
It's not an executive order. It's just saying, I don't want to hear this again. When I'm taking my breakfast in State House as the president, my friend, and the minister sits there, ilisha jana, sio leo asubuhi. It is the end.
You've studied...
Take your tea, finish, and go back to your office. But there's no more of this. And you look at my face and you know I'm serious.
Over time, we've seen healthy democracies not really going the way that Kenya probably is on, whereby political voice is really what matters when it comes to the destination of these infrastructure projects, such as roads, etc. For those who never voted for Ruto, and they are probably afraid, will these roads come to our place? Will these big SGR projects pass through our villages? Do you think it is fair for Kenya this far to have proximity to State House being the only determinant to where this project should go?
We are long past that. The only problem, we don't have leaders. Our people elect useless fellows into parliament, into county assemblies, for useless considerations. But if you had a really member of parliament and a really MCA, actually, if you look at Kenya today, your MCA and your MP are more useful to you than your president.
Come on.
Yes. Yes.
How so?
Because the president cannot carry a project and take to Baringo. It must be product of a process where his influence is not even there. You cannot have a project that is not within the the government's development plan. And these development plans are drawn by experts. And the MPs oversight all these things. And the implementation and the execution of those plans must be with the supervision, with oversight of members of parliament. So there's no way the president can move out of the budget, out of development plans, and construct a dam in Meru when that dam was supposed to have been constructed in Garissa. No, if you had leaders. So the problem we have and challenges we have, that people don't know the value of an MCA. The time to elect an MCA is the time now to consider clan. It's the time to consider the 50 shillings they have given you in the Mandazi. So if it wasn't for the Mandazi that gives people the wrong MCA, we should not be bothered about development in terms of whether the president likes it or not. It should be equitably distributed.
We've seen developed nations such as Singapore and many others in that list. We've seen for them to get that far, they have gone full throttle when it comes to gravitating towards a digital nation, digital economy, and ramping up the efforts therein. When it comes to Kenya, if you look at our budgetary allocation towards investment in research and development, we are still lagging behind. What is, out of our GDP, what is allocated to that, it's still very, very minimal, probably way behind South Africa and other top-tier nations in the country. We have top research institutes in this country. How much of an result can you actually reap out of it? Should we actually gravitate towards increasing our budgetary allocation, or where does that radical surgery start from for us to go to that direction?
In fact, I've conducted research on that. State of research and development in our universities and other institutions. It is pathetic.
Come on.
What makes it even more pathetic is that, and I was attending, I was a panelist. I was a panelist or whatever they call them, moderator in a workshop, an international, it was called High Scientific Something by Minister of Agriculture, I think with forestry craft. And I asked a question because what was emerging from that conference was worrying. I asked them, all these research institutes in this country, Kefri, Carlo,
KEFIS and all that.
all these Kefri, what would happen if donor support was withdrawn? They just frank with me. The PS was there. I think I saw him running for office, Boga. Did he win? He was not there.
Hamadi Boga.
Yeah, he's the one who had insisted I go there despite the fact that me, I'm not a scientist. Said, no, I want that guy here. Okay. I asked them. They were very honest with me. There will be nothing going on. All these things are donor funded. All of them.
Are we depending on grants, you mean?
Completely. Oh, completely. It is.
What about the money, the billions?
We have money to give to MPs to flash around, but we don't want to spend on research. I was saying, now that the 30 billion or so that used to go for CDF has been declared. Why are they chasing the CDF, the president saying he'll do something about it? Supposing we took the 30 billion for CDF and put into research. I've been saying this in the past 1 month. Give it to universities, give it to research institutes, give it to innovators and innovation hubs. In 10 years, 30 billion every month for research. In 10 years, just 300 billion only. This will not be the same country. But, so don't tell me whether they will give it. They can't give money.
And even
government doesn't understand the meaning of research. Even when ministries like education are headed by professors, they don't understand the meaning of research. They don't understand we live in a world where economies are knowledge-driven economies, where survival of mankind depends on how much he embraces knowledge. The corona thing has shown us we live in dangerous times. We don't know what other problem can come tomorrow. And you cannot face the problems of today with a gun, or with money, or with anything, or with the politics. You face and prepare yourself to face challenges of today armed with knowledge. Mankind must be on the cutting edge of knowledge.
As the weapon of choice.
Yes, as a weapon of choice. That's the only thing you'll need to equip yourself as we move into the uncertain future. Last year it was Corona. Tomorrow something born out of climate change.
Drought is already there.
Tomorrow GMOs will make people have 10 eyes all over the head. You know? Yes, we must be prepared for anything. Watoto wataanza kuzaliwa wakiwa na macho 10.
Can you get that bad?
Of course. Of course. The world, the kind set of research, the way people are doing genetic manipulation to produce things like GMO and more. We could find ourselves in a state where everything is gone crazy. You have 50 eyes on the body. One eye here, another one here, another one here. Hiyo GMO mnaweka ndani.
They say do.
But on a more serious note, mankind's survival depends on knowledge going forward. And these nations in Africa, you know, I laughed sometimes. I heard Uhuru making some very serious statement, speech somewhere, I don't know, in some corner of the world. And he was saying there is a vaccine apartheid. That countries, this corona vaccine when they were coming, countries that have produced vaccines and those with money have bought even more vaccines than they need, when Africa does not have even a quarter of what they need. So they are saying that's number one. The second problem was that they are not making resources available for poor countries like Kenya to buy vaccine. So they are talking of vaccine apartheid. Then I went to calculate the cost of vaccine. Because when vaccines came, some variety, I put something came from Russia, and the cost was like 6,000 per jab. So I quickly did my calculations, supposing it was on wholesale. If somebody want to do it as a business for 6,000, then I looked at the cost.
Too high?
It is money the president's office uses for entertainment.
Entertainment allowance?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Africans.
We could afford it if we wanted.
Then, during the same space, America withdrew its support to WHO. Then everybody was crying, oh, especially African countries. Then I looked at how much the budget of WHO is money we give our MPs here to play with. You cannot believe it. You cannot believe it. So to answer your question, this government, just like previous governments, will not give money for research because they don't know the meaning of research. They don't know where the world has reached. They don't know, without knowledge, you are not prepared for the future. Anything can happen and populations can be wiped out. And the only reason why we contained Corona and did vaccination and all these things is because it was not region specific or race specific or country specific. If the rich nations could not control it, it would get them. You have to control it across the world for anybody to be safe. One country cannot control it and say they are safe. But who tells you the next Corona or something like Corona will be like that? It could be race specific. Something could come that attacks only Africans, only the black race. Scientifically, that's a possibility, okay? So, mnafikiri wazungu watajali? Kwanza ndio watafurahi mkufe kabisa. Why do these monkeys look like human beings? Wanaharibu jina ya human beings. Let them be wiped up. There have been people who have said AIDS was manufactured from the laboratory to kill blacks and homosexuals. Those things could be possible. I'm not saying that's the issue. Tomorrow, the next corona-like problem could be country-specific, so that it is just a Kenyan problem. If you don't deal with it, you die, and Ugandans are not affected, or at least a regional issue. Why are the Wazungus worried about Ebola? Because if it's not put under control, it will find yourself in New York. There could come a disease like corona, but which is just regional specific. That if you don't control it in your country, Nyinyi mnakufa, but the rest are not affected. You see? So the fellows are interested in Ebola. They come here to help us. Because if it's not controlled in Central Africa and West and Central Africa, it could reach the rest of the world, and the Wazungus would die. But tomorrow there will be challenges, not necessarily of disease, different challenges of climate or anything that specific, like Resa points at Kenya, and if Kenya is not handling that problem, Kenyans will perish. So we must be prepared, but governments in Africa do not know that. They don't put money into research. They don't put money into education. When you hear government budget on education is high, ask them, is there money in that budget for development? Just development, even to buy desks. It's just for paying teachers miserable salaries.
Not for Kenyan young researchers?
No,
top minds, top
there's
brains?
nothing. Zero. Let anybody ask. Go and check, go and Google.
Yet we have Nairobi Innovation Week every other time and all those kind of
We are used to show.
research exhibitions.
Yeah, exhibition, talking to people. People think we are doing things.
Looking for
Going
grants.
outside for conferences, we buy clothes, shoes. Others leave those places with ideas. We live with shopping
and selfies.
and selfies.
There you have it from the top scholar himself, Herman Manyora, talking matters how every docket in Ruto's administration needs to build resilience so that they perform their duties with utmost precision and excellence therein. Time for Fun of the Week. It is none other than this lady from Eldoret, Celestine Chebichi.
Celestine Chebichi. Celestine, thank you very much for being part of the family. I encourage others to be part of the family. Thank you very much.
Well, until next time on Business Glide, do have yourself a good day. Make sure you get posted on our Business Glide African Proverb of the Day that is coming up next on your screen.